1 rabbit, 3 dishes. We'll see how we go. This is sous vide rabbit with a tomato and butter puree, a poached bit of courgette, and a lovely, lovely chunky bit of crispy potato. Now, the way this is going to work is we've got the rabbit here. Now, the rabbit has got an interesting run of bones along the outside of this loin here. I don't know if you can quite see that. It's also, on the other side, got a flap of flesh or skin or something like that. I don't really know the anatomy of a rabbit that well. But what we'll be doing is on one of them, probably this one, I'm going to cut that flap of skin off and also trim off the bones. So we've got a very, very minute bit of meat in here. And we're going to see what I can do with that bit of skin / breast meat or whatever it is. And I'm going to see if I can crisp it up, and then both of them are going to get sous vide at 55 degrees Celsius for about 30 minutes with a whole heap of salt and pepper and then a light torching. Now, to be honest, that's the easy part, apart from the fact that it's very lean meat and it could go dry. But what is going to happen here is sort of like a merry-go-round of flavors. So we're going to roast these tomatoes here in the oven at about 180 degrees Celsius for about 20 minutes, get them nice and tender and bubbling and juicy. Now, while those are being cooked, the courgette here is going to be poached in the butter, which is a big lot of that butter. So it's going to get poached in the butter along with the garlic. Then the courgette comes out and that gets ready for plating, while the roasted tomatoes get pureed with the garlic and a whole lot of the butter. Now, the remainder of the butter is going to be used on this potato. Now, I'm going to trim this potato so it's like a giant chip, and then I'm going to give it a pressure cook, elevated pressure cook, and we're going to get it nice and fluffy, and then we're going to fry it in the butter and get this beautiful thing nice and crispy on the outside, and then we're all going to put it on one plate, do a bit of a plating exercise, and it's going to be delicious. It's going to be delicious. All this is pretty much as I said it would be, so I'll regale you with some context instead. This rabbit and its final forms are the result of an extended isolation after a trip to Latvia, on and after New Year's Eve. Sitting at home, eating some crap off Deliveroo and half watching Red Notice, you can slip into some bad habits really quickly. Luckily for me, boredom is a breeding ground for thinking up food. So by the time I was divvying up copious amounts of butter to ingest, the isolation at this point was purely incidental. The courgettes in the butter getting basted as and bubbling to let me know they're getting hot. The tomatoes, steadily wrinkling and sweeting in a not too hot oven, become a tangy and buttery sauce. Potato, performing at its crispy best as usual, and rabbit fillets, stubbornly resisting the Maillard reaction. And here I am, actually showing some restraint with the plating, deciding to use a whole lot of complementary colours with just a pop of contrast amongst the broad swoops of yellow. I put the filleted, boned version on the plate just because I think it is just going to be easy to cut through, easy to deal with for right now. And see here, it seems like it's retained its juice. Oi, 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 crispy. Let's cut that baby up. Oh. The rabbit is gamey, slightly chickeny. I'd say that it's like a slightly rich chicken. It's an odd texture. It's not what you'd expect. It's sort of got that chicken breast texture to it. I probably could have trimmed the skin off the rabbit because I think it's quite tough, quite hard to get through. But once you've got through it, it's sensational. It's very tender. Courgette here. That is pure evil, buttery and delicious. And garlic sort of coming just through. But that sauce is just enough tang to be absolutely sensational and cutting through all of that butter I used. Almost forgot. I made these little crispy things out of the skin. They're extremely tasty. I just want to try now how it is with the one that's not boned. Well, bones in my mouth instantly, but it is juicier. So it's sort of a toss-up of what you want to deal with. Alright, good. Time for the next one. Rabbit confit. Well, not actually confit, I'm sort of going to emulate confit. I'm not even using duck fat. I'm just going to use butter. And the butter's going to go in and going to create a nice fatty layer around the outside. I'm going to leave that in the sous vide machine for about 24 hours, 63 degrees Celsius. Should be nice and melting by that stage. And we've also got here a little bitter note that's going to offset all the sweets in the dish, which I'm getting up to now. So the sweets, we've got a fennel and fig jam that we've got to make. And then on the rabbit itself, it's going to get lacquered in this agave syrup. So we're going to brush on a bit of agave, and then you're going to torch it, brush it, torch it. It's going to be fantastic. And then finally the smoked garlic and gently sweet, earthy sweet parsnip puree. But first, we've got to get this in the sous vide machine, and then I've got to crack on with some rabbit pelmeni. Dill, bay, apple, and garlic. It's going to get mixed up with some rabbit pieces, which are behind this board, which I'm showing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Close your eyes. So we've got some head here. We've also got rib cage. We've got front legs. We've got some trimming from yesterday. And we've also got the insides. All that's going to go in and create a deep, meaty flavor in my broth. Then I'm going to strain that broth out, set it aside, and that's going to be for serving. And then I'm going to go through and take all the bits of meat that I want. I'm going to mix that meat up with a little bit of that apple pulp that's come through. And then those are going to get stuffed into pelmeni. And then finally I'm going to make a puree. So with one of these apples, I'll make a puree with this beautiful purple carrot. And then with the orange carrots, they're going to get steamed or pressure cooked. And then I'm going to chuck them in the oven and give them a blast roasting so they get a nice caramelized outside. All right, let's crack on. So that rabbit's going to be in there for about 3 hours. That's how long it's going to take for the meat to fall off the bone. I'll strain it out at that point and set the juice aside for serving. Oh, shit. And then with the meat, I'll pull that off. I'll mush up a bit of apple and I'll mix it in together. So you end up with a nice sweet dill florally flavor along with that intense gaminess of the rabbit. It's going to sort of give my pelmeni a little extra zing. Day 5 of isolation has arrived by this point and I should be out by now, but the results have been delayed. Nerves fraying, I start making poor decisions like trying to make pelmeni dough with what is in the cupboard. Half a cup of white flour, way too much rye flour, and then I realized that I've not got any flour for kneading or rolling. Corn flour comes to the rescue. How this turns out is a true culinary miracle. Just a brief interlude. This, while I was making the pelmeni, it smells amazing. The dill comes out first, and then you get this like rich garlicky note, and then, oh, that meatiness, my goodness. And then just right at the end there, just a little bit of apple. Oh, this is gonna be so good. Even if I screwed up the pelmeni dough, I'm so sorry. Okay, so in goes the apples, purple carrots, skin on. We'll put basket on top, sort of, and then normal carrots go in. Pour in your water, lid goes on, and we cook. Some carrots glazed in agave and others pureed with apple. Perhaps I'm missing Latvia, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that such pedantic plating may be looked upon with disdain. But then again, rabbit and Pelmeni might be as well.
Pelmeni, delightful. Came out pretty good. I've already sort of had a sneaky try of one of them. They are tender. I didn't make the dough too thick this time, which is delightful. And they're gamey with just a little bit of sweetness from that apple. And same with the broth here. So that broth is sweet, slightly salty, ever so slightly salty, even though I didn't put that much in there. But ultimately, incredibly deep and umami delicious. So this is sort of the same thing with this carrot. The carrot puree and the roasted, steamed, pressure cooked carrot. One's got a just straight sweet, and the other one has got a little bit of bitterness to it, a little bit of char. So ultimately, it's come together very nicely. I don't know if you can see that, but they stayed together. And they're delicious, light, and I could eat quite a few of them. I think next time though, I'll just stick them through a ravioli maker or something like that. Now it's time to continue on with that rabbit confit.
See, this is why I love sous vide. You can just take your time. Put your veggies in, just wait. It's so easy. So this bit here, I like to keep that for garnish. So we'll just trim that off first. Yoink, using that for one for later. And then we'll get these slightly green bits off. And then the rest of this is ours. So down the middle first, and chop. And the final dish arrives. The benchmark for me leaving the house, but still with no end in sight. My mind is only functioning on basics at this point. Brown, reduce, hydrate, reduce. Oh, I really don't want to. It's very fragile because it's extremely tender. But that there, that is a thing of beauty. So delicious. Oh, the garlic. Woo-wee! I'll add the bag juices, I think, to the puree.
Oh, yeah, baby.
I'm struggling to leverage these endives into a dish, and so they get relegated to a side, just a pellet cleanser. I turn my attention back to the rabbit. The rhythm of the torch keeps me going, but by this stage, you may be able to tell I've kind of lost it. I didn't review the footage until just now. Usually I check before I hit record, but somehow, this time, I look like I've been dragged backwards through the undergrowth. I apologize. So this is my delicious rabbit with a beautiful glaze of agave syrup, absolutely delicious. Just underneath the leg joint here, we've got a fennel and fig jam. It's not really a jam, it's more just like a caramelized fennel with figs. But it's got salt and a little bit of white pepper in it to give it a little bit of a kick. And then finally we've got this absolutely lethally garlic parsnip puree here. It's got a lot of smoked garlic in it, so we'll give it a go. Might as well start off with the rabbit first. So, well, it's maintained its juiciness. Ooh, maybe not juiciness, it's maintained its sort of like moisture, well, by the looks of it. Wow. It's drier than a nun on Sunday. Maybe we should add a bit of stuff to it. Tastes good, tastes really good, nice and garlicky and all that sort of jazz. But my goodness, I think I may have left it in there a bit too long. Let's see how it goes with a accompaniment of different sides. Yeah, that's really nice. That's very tasty. But still, altogether, it's still just a bit dry. I could have done with like a really nice sauce on there. I don't know what I would do exactly, maybe something a little bit tangy. On the side here, I've got a just endives, and they've just been pan fried and then just drizzled in a little bit of lemon juice. And then a little bit of salt. Just that lemon juice will cut through the fattiness of what's going on here. So, the rabbit itself, to me it's like closer to chicken than any other piece of meat on the rabbit, but more intense. It's got like a much more gamey flavor to it. But it pairs really nicely with like the sweetness of the fennel jam and the delicious parsnip puree here. But by far and away, my favorite has been the Pelmeni. The Pelmeni were astonishingly good. I will go as far as to say that they may be in the top 5 things I've ever cooked in my life. That was damn delicious. What was your favorite? Leave a comment down below, and also comment if you're gonna give any of these a go. I'd like to see what people do with them. Let your culinary creativity absolutely fly. Let's give it a go.